Hello, everybody, and welcome to our next session of the 14 reflex point what cause a negative reaction. A special hello to Dr. Angel.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back. I'm
Yeah,
always,
it's good to be back.
yes, I was so excited to do this with you because I do this for my love to horses and passion to educate and help other people to hopefully not make the mistakes what many of our fellow saddle fitters do. And I hate to admit I did because I didn't know what I did not know. So today, with this wonderful toy of the internet, we are able to share your wisdom, my wisdom worldwide. So without further ado, let's talk about today's topic, the bucking reflex point. So as usual, we're going to go a little bit back for you folks who have not had the chance to see one of our episodes before. Please check it out. It's on our social media, also on Dr. Angel's, I assume, information.
Yes.
And check out the incredible information we have provided. So those are the 14 reflex points that cause negative reactions. And today we're focusing on this little guy back there. We call that the bucking reflex points. Over history, we go back for 7,000 years. Men try to optimize, the relationship between man, horse, and saddles. And way back, all the way to the Second World War, when we still had horses in the army, and we still have to this day with police and army, officers and soldiers are taught to map the horse. What does mapping mean? Mapping just means nothing else than identify area where the horse is really sensitive. And here's the cool part. We talk about the bucking reflex points. Nature gives us a clear sign. Check out this ring of lights. This ring of lights back there, that is what is on every horse because the hairline grows up in the flank, goes to the top, and then goes to the left and to the right. And it looks like a flower. As a matter of fact, that area on the horse in Germany, we call it flower. So in this area, also the nickname, the swamp area, should be absolutely no pressure. So we identify 14, but today we're going to focus on that particular area, the swamp area, or people like to refer as the bucking reflex points. Now, there's a lot about assumptions when it comes to saddle fit, because the manufacturer and the wholesaler and the retailer fits the saddle and convince the customer often that saddle fits great when it has a good resale value and a good profit margin. A saddle fitter, most of them, the trainers, the riders, often see, oh, my saddle goes forward, oh, it slides back, and they fix the problem, but unintentionally create so many more problems. These folks, the vets, the body workers, and most horse owners look at the saddle fitting from the horse's point of view. There is nobody out there who says, okay, let's fix the problem or tell somebody your saddle fits because of high profit margin and hurt the horse purposely. No. I think you guys as vets even swear an oath, no, don't do extra harm for profit purpose, right? So for me, understanding that I have so much influence as a saddle manufacturer, saddle salesperson, saddle fitter, horse lover, then I need to know what all this research with veterinarians and body workers bring us what is the best for the horse. Let's face it, in the end of the day, how much anatomy, biomechanics, physiology do we really learn in sales or in making saddles or fitting saddles? Why don't we listen to the people who went years to university and study and take even oaths? Speaking of people with experience, we know that over years and years, thousands of years, and Xenophon was the first person who says, if the horse cannot bring the back up, then the hind leg cannot come underneath. Be written down on a piece of paper for his soldiers how to get the free elevation of the horse. Once the horse has the foot as close as possible to the sternum of the horse, then the front leg is light. In other words, these flimsy little ligaments and leg and tendons are light, as you see in this horse. So, unfortunately, when money is involved, making a lot of money, millions of money in equestrian industry, sometimes the rule goes bye-bye, and horses purposely get ridden like a banana, this way. Opposite of what the old masters told us, opposite of what veterinarians and body workers try to do to help these animals to maintain their health, not just physical and also psychological. Like, look at this horse, how much that horse is bent on in the front legs. So as a saddle maker, I am absolutely disgusted what my industry, saddle industry, is doing sometimes to get the horse in the hyperextension. Sometimes the saddle is made purposely very narrow. Right here you can see, this is an article from Dr. Michael Weishaupt. He's a professor at the University of Zurich. You know, he says modern saddles get narrow and narrow and narrow in the center. Back then they were nice and wide. Okay, what does that do? That means that the saddle has no more weight-bearing surface in the middle. We see amazing, insane amount of pressure in the wither area, a lot of horse with atrophy, and we get to see even atrophy on the horse's back. But what about horses where the pressure is back here on the lumbar area? So this is a horse at the National German Riding School. This skeleton is cantering, and you see how this back is round, and you also see how all these spinal processes are separated. So for these flight animals to survive, and then we put soldiers and weapons and weight on top of them, why don't we follow the experts? That's all I'm saying. Let's follow the experts. So the experts have said, like I showed you, this green area here, that's the area where the horse can sit. We do not want to put any pressure on this flimsy, 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 flimsy bones down here. That's that big red X. So maybe we can listen from the horse's mouth, no pun intended, from Dr. Angel, to show us a little bit, or explain us a little bit, what is attached to the lumbar on the bottom, and what is the detrimental to the horse if we keep pressing on these regions.
Yeah, so basically, if you're looking at the anatomy of the horse, and a lot of people probably don't realize this, but the thoracic spine, where the saddle usually fits, that's where you have the ribs coming off of, so you have more support. As you transition into the lumbar spine, you don't have that same support, and you have those long longissimus dorsi muscles that run alongside of it. You also have the kidneys that sit back there. And as we mentioned, we have that reflex point that can cause them to buck. So a big issue when you see a saddle that's sitting past that last rib is that you're putting pressure on the lumbar spine and that reflex point. And it definitely causes a lot of pain for the horse. It's difficult for them as far as being able to move forward. And also their reaction a lot of times is to buck to try to get away from that. So it can cause a lot of issues, especially, I mean, I'll go out a lot of time. I mean, a good example, just recently, I was at a therapeutic riding stable where they have some ponies that are used for hippotherapy. And one of the ponies is just extremely short backed, and the saddle that they use on her is way too long. And this pony, I mean, she's trying her best to be good, and she doesn't buck or anything like that, but you should see how horrible her conformation is from moving forward with a saddle like that. And I really had to reiterate with them that they need to have pretty small riders on her, just because I mean, her neck is like way up in the air. She's totally hollowed out, like what we were seeing with the horse, you know, with the suspensory ligaments and stuff that are very lax, and you're not getting that concussion like you should. But yeah, it definitely, a lot of people just don't realize what an effect it has on the horse when that saddle's sitting too far back.
Now, you're teaching also online courses. What type
Yeah.
of online courses are you teaching again?
So we have a number of different courses, but we have courses for horse owners and professionals, but the main course would be massage, where we do go over the full anatomy of the horse, the physiology, the gaits, how they move. And we do teach in that course too, how to assess a horse to see if the saddle is fitting correctly. Now, we have another course that goes into much more detail, and it's specifically about Western saddle fitting, because we've found there's a lot of courses out there and information about English saddle fitting, but there's not so much that just talks specifically about the Western saddle. So we do have a course specific on that too. But yeah, I mean, it's so important as a body worker. When you go out and a horse presents a certain way and the owner's saying, you know, it's having trouble with this or that. And bucking is usually one of the things that a lot of owners will think it's a behavioral issue because the horse just doesn't want to work. But oftentimes it's not. It's the tack that's causing the issue. So as a body worker, you have to look at it from a holistic perspective. You have to take everything into consideration and try to figure out what is the actual problem. Because you can look at the horse and you can say, yes, I can do massage, I can do kinesiology tape, we can do some cold laser therapy. There's a number of things that we can do to relieve what the horse is experiencing pain wise, but to actually fix the problem, you need to find the root of that cause. So that's when we have to go in and say, well, let's look at your saddle, let's see how you're riding this horse.
Am I wrong by assuming that you and most of your students do this because the emotional paycheck is massive? When they help horses and they help them through a proper course, learning how to proper massage because you feel so good to help the animal, isn't that one of the main reasons people do it?
Exactly. Seeing an animal that's in pain and it's frustrated and it's almost, you know, just kind of shut down because it feels like people aren't listening, you know, and to see that animal get some relief is extremely rewarding. I know for myself, I've been a lifelong equestrian. I started riding when I was 5. And when I look back at horses that I owned as a child or horses that I rode in lessons and stuff, I was ignorant in a lot of ways. You know, you listen to what people are telling you, what your instructors tell you, and you don't realize that you're hurting the horse. You don't realize that the horse is acting out because of pain. So when I look back and I think of how I could have made a difference in those horses' lives if I just only knew then what I know now, I think it's really important to educate people and help them see what's going on.
See, listening to you and I think most horse people who have the virus are truly horse lovers. I don't think the majority goes out and says, let's see how I can put my horse in pain. I think the majority want to have the emotional paycheck, the feel the endorphins rush in. Oh, I helped my friend, I helped my horse. We all want to do the best for our own horse. And the worst thing for me was when I found out that I actually unintentionally crippled my horse.
Yeah.
And I was a saddle apprentice, went to 3 years as an apprentice, another 5 years as a journeyman, then another 2 years to become master. And you think once people told me about the anatomy of the horse, wouldn't you think that a big riding country like Germany or in England or in France, I can making an excuse as a European says, oh yeah, North America, the Wild West, they don't know. Like we can't say this anymore with today's internet. What's all out there, right? So if I would be a massage therapist, I would be so frustrated if I know the saddle is the culprit and all I do is just momentarily, the second I put the saddle back on, all my work was on nothing.
Exactly.
And I feel
and then you have an owner that feels like you're not doing your job correctly because you're not fixing the problem.
Yeah, never mind about me. I feel I failed the horse, right? I fail why I do what I do. And I think this is why I'm so passionate about this. And I'm so grateful that you take your time. I know you're super, super busy and you take your time to do this with me. that people say, oh, yeah, you know, he wants to sell a saddle or fit saddles, make saddles. But that maybe hear it from people who took an oath to do no harm, to step further and teach their competition, you know, because how many times do we see veterinarians or saddle makers that they don't share? They're afraid of their income. But isn't that written in the Bible? What you give away for free, you get 10 times back.
Definitely.
Right? And look at, you could be working on a course or working on a client's course, right? Same here. But I cannot stress enough that people share this and people really think for a second. You know, if I'm hitting a spot like my funny bone, I do a reaction I don't like. In Western, you mentioned it, they put the flank strap, and that strap put massive amount of pressure on these lumbers versus processes. Oh, I didn't say this right. The transfers? Help me out here with this.
The transverse, yeah. So the transverse processes are the ones that stick out on either side, and then you have your spinous process that comes up in the center.
That's right. So that is what the bucking reflex point does, right? Sorry, the flank strap. They pull tight, and the horse has no chance then to go nuts, go bucking. So
yeah. If anybody that knows anything about rodeo horses and the bucking horses, that's how they get them to buck. Yeah.
Besides you know, there's another veterinarian who I really look up to. It's Dr. Gerd Heuschmann. He actually went to Iceland and says, we do not need to make Icelandic saddles anymore, but purposely puts the pressure into this horse's lumbar. Like you said, the kidney is there, the ovaries are there. Oh, the kidney is way down there. I know, but when I went to a dissection course, you could see how the kidney was attached via muscles to those transfers. So obviously we can see, and I've seen this pattern now too often. I do this 45 years, 5 countries. I have measured over 260,000 horses, and you see a pattern very quick. Saddles, what are too long, purposely invert the horse this way. Okay, then
it just looks unnatural when you look at that picture.
Yeah, so I heard all kinds of saying why people ride like this, and even look at this, how this man sits on it with his hunched over neck. Right? But millions and millions of dollars is in this industry. People pay a lot of money. They put this big chain and blocks on it, and then it's a sport. And we can talk about how horrible and hard it is on the horses when we talk about racing or Western pleasure or eventing. Any kind of a sport is kind of hard. I'm just speak out to this is because here is my industry, saddle maker, who purposely puts the rider over the area you and I just talk about. Now, this horse doesn't buck. Icelandic doesn't buck. We talk a lot of money here in Icelandic pace racing, like horse racing, right? So anyway, Dr. Heuschmann says we don't need to put the horse into pain because a gaited horse will gait without pain. That's what these beautiful animals do. But if we want to get the extra high elevation, the extra high difference to get the first ribbon, then humans have been known to cheat or hurt the animal to get that extra. And that's what I'm against it. I'm not against the sport, but I'm against animal cruelty. And we don't need to stick on this too long here. All I'm saying to the people who are over 78% of all horse owners who love horses don't want to see horses in pain.
And I think some of the owners don't realize that that's what the saddle's doing.
Exactly.
And I don't think they realize what the training methods are. They own the horse, they show the horse, but they don't really know what's going on behind the scenes or understand, you know, the anatomy and the tack and what's happening there. So that's why it is important to educate the horse owners so that they realize what's happening and they can see these signs of pain in their horses. That's another it's a course that we actually give away for free. It's called How to Determine If Your Horse is Experiencing Pain or Lameness. We go through all the signs and we show you how to do a gait analysis. And we even cover in there how to look at your saddle and stuff because it's really important. I mean, we give it away for free because we want you to know if your horse is experiencing pain. Now, if you want to figure out how to solve the problem, you can either take one of our online courses and figure out how to help them yourselves, or you can find one of our practitioners, because we have them all over the world, and they can come out and help you with that. And even if it's not our practitioner, if you want to go with somebody from a totally different school, that's fine too. The most important thing is that your horse gets the help that it needs.
Yeah. So if I want to learn this, how do I do it? Just contact you, info, or is it on your website? How do I?
The easiest thing would be to go to our website, which is holisticanimалstudies.net or .org. Either one will bring you to our website. And you can explore our courses there. We have courses for horse owners. We have courses for people that want to become a bodywork professional and do it for a living. And we have courses for people that are already professionals, whether you're a veterinarian, a massage therapist, a chiropractor. You can add new modalities and get continuing education credits to learn some new techniques to add to your practice. So we have courses for everybody. And it's not just horses. We do cover small animals as well. But I just feel so passionate about the horse part of it, because we make these animals work for us. We ride them, you know, we make them do things that are a bit unnatural. And I don't think that there's a single horse in this world that people are riding that does not need body work. They need it and they benefit from it.
They're super athletes. Look at what we do to our own bodies when we become athletes, right?
Yeah, definitely.
To stay long and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever heard this saying, one rotten apple in the barrel?
Yes.
So there could be hundreds of apples in that barrel, all good, but one of them is bad. And this is the same with our industry. The majority of the horse owners are absolutely angels. No pun intended, Dr. Angel. And they are loving the animals. And they are the people who listen to you and me. And unfortunately, we have some people who use them as money machine. They're absolutely cruel people. And they are the people who were influenced by a lot of money, and unfortunately, sometimes sidetrack and mislead people who do not want to purposely hurt their horses. But they're affected, whatever, by the fame, the blame. I mean,
yeah,
I had the T-shirt. I was wearing it, and I went as a little kid, like you, started with 5 years of riding. And it was all about horses. I wanted to be in the barn all the time. You know, they kept me out of all kinds of trouble. And then when I started to compete and got international, where did that go? You know, so I heard it saying once, you know, it's not the sun flares, it's not the nukes. What really kills humans is the greed and the envy.
Yeah, it's true.
And in today's world, with all this fake news and with all this horrible news what we see out there, fake or real, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
When I go to my baba, to my horse, I like in the happy world of mine. And I don't want to destroy it intentionally or unintentionally. So this is why you and I do what we do. We want to help these beautiful animals and help these horses. And these are facts, folks. If you pressure hard on, focus on an area, the oxygen and the nutrition will not go through the muscle. The muscle will fatigue, the horse is in pain, the horses react. It's not behavior. So many pain scales are out there, and many veterinarians, and I'm just in awe, and I'm so proud of you that you offer a course like that to recognize the pain. I just want to show these images to show everybody and tell everybody, the academic world, the science world, the people who are not stubborn and trying to convince you the earth is flat. So the people who actually have studied the anatomy, physiology, and behavior of the horse and give the course for free have now tools what gets rid of the opinions and show data. Full stop. It is what it is. So we got cameras what measure humans. We can measure the riders with scanning the back of the horse. We have to go back to what our ancestors did, who mapped the horse and says, you can't push pressure on the spine. You can't put pressure on the scapular. And you can, and this is what we talk about today, not put any pressure on the lumbar. oh, you know, the army saddle, the packing saddle, the Western saddle is that long. The Western saddle goes maybe to here, but it calls the front flare. The best Western saddle maybe goes to here, it calls the back flare. The Western saddle full contact area, just like Dr. Angel explained, sits in this area where the horse has much more structure and support. Stay away of this nasty reflex point, and you will see you don't have issues with ulcers. Of course, you have other issues why they have ulcers. But if a horse has stress, high elevated heart rate, and they can't run away, they can't fight, they go internal.
Yeah.
Right? So
well, another time I've seen pressure on that point too, that a lot of people don't really think about, is if you have somebody riding double with you. So
yes.
If you want somebody to sit behind the saddle, that's when they're sitting directly on that point.
Yeah. So this is mainly for the folks who want to know, is my saddle unintentionally hurting my horse? Because I love my saddle. But is that flare of my Western saddle, or my army saddle, or my packing saddle, tracking, whatever you saddle you have, it doesn't really matter. The horse doesn't care if you bought a used one, a new one, a fancy English or a fancy silver Western. They don't care. They just feel you and hopefully become with you one unit. Dr. Angel, is this the right website? Folks can reach you? Okay, so I just wanted to put it up.
You can definitely go there. You can go to holisticsanimalstudies.net, or you can put in .org. It'll take you to the same place. I think we have a .com too. We'll take you to the same place. But go to Holistic Animal Studies, and you can see a list of the courses that we offer. Our courses are fully online, so you can learn from any location. But I do also travel, and when I do travel, I teach workshops in those locations. So if you want to get some hands-on, experience with me, that's a possibility. And I also teach workshops on my property in Florida. So if anybody wants to come down to Florida and spend some time with me, that's a possibility as well. So yeah, whatever we can do to help the horses, I'm here for you.
If you have one wish you could make for our listeners to know, what would that be?
Well, I just think if everybody would continue to educate themselves, whether it be through my program, through another program, all I can say is just keep learning, because the more you can learn about saddle fit, about the anatomy of the horse, about, like, a lot of horses are stoic and people just don't realize that the horse is showing signs of pain. So just the more that you can learn about horses in general, about your personal horse, just keep learning. That's all I can say, is just keep learning, be open-minded too, because a lot of people are taught something from a certain age and they think that that's the gold standard and that's the only way it can be. So just be open-minded to other ways, and, listen to what we're saying and take away the things that, resonate with you, and just keep learning and exploring.
Yeah, I love that. I really, really love it. My old horse trainer, my first, always said, riding takes over 3 human lives. It's our duty to become the shepherd of these beautiful animals. When we take these wild animals and we put them in captivity, it's our duty to look after them. And it's impossible to learn it by yourself in 1 human lifetime. So we can only do it by what you said. My advice would be, follow the money. What is the reason? And if you figure out the how, it's very easy. Because the how will always follow the person who knows the why. So why is the horse behaving like this? Why is the horse in pain? And why is my horse not liking this saddle but this saddle? Why do so many people have different saddle opinions? So that goes back directly to you, what you said. Your wish would be, keep educating yourself, and hopefully you will find your bubble stays safe if you look after our guardian angels, the horses.
Yep, definitely.
Dr. Angel, it was a delight, a pleasure. It was so much fun, and I'm always looking forward to talk to you. Can't wait to see you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.